All right. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we will be talking with Ray Goosby, paranormal investigator and host of the Cryptic Paranormal Show. So stay tuned. Coming tonight on Paranomalies. Good evening, Aaron.
Good evening, Jason. How are you?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
Doing pretty well. We always talk about how the weather is. Weather's been
Yep.
pretty decent. I'm
It has
happy.
been.
It's not cold.
Yep.
Today was, it was a little chilly and windy, but it's not zero, so I can't
Yeah.
complain.
Yeah. We had a weird little fog bank come in on my side of town and settle
Oh,
for a little bit. But yeah, it was kind of strange. But
well, that's
I,
not
I
bad,
like the fog. So
right? Um, Before we get started, we had our skeptic event this weekend,
yeah,
and we
skeptic
had,
night.
yep, skeptic night went really well. We had 10 people there, and one of them was Paige. Paige has been to that and our Nelson Museum VIP. And hi, Paige. Just want to
Hey,
give you a little
Paige.
shout out. We
Thanks
know
for
that you
coming
watch. You said
Saturday
that
night.
you listen, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, so
Um,
that was a really fun event. We had the one skeptic there that, he couldn't explain, how it happened, but he had a ton of fun. He was really into it and, asking about all the equipment and stuff like that. It was cool.
yeah, they had we had them split into two teams, and one team had a great experience upstairs, and it sounded like the other one had one downstairs.
Yep.
So it kind of swapped for them. Um, the one that was had a great downstairs didn't have such a great upstairs, but I mean, it happens. I mean, it's spirits. You can't make them do stuff, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's weird how that happens too. It's like it rotated groups.
Right. When I go into the lodge, I always tell that same story, and I know you know the story that it is, and I don't want to give it out because I want people to come and hear it.
Yep.
And the yes no prism, we talk about it ghost lighting me.
Yep. Yep.
And
Fact checking Aaron. Yep.
one group it did, and the next group it was phenomenal. So yeah, pretty crazy. Hey Janet, we see you over there in the comments. Tonight we have Ray Goosby. This should be a good one. I went and watched his
Absolutely.
couple of his shows, and pretty close to ours. I really like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I checked him out too. I like the show. It's going to be on my listen list during work now. So
For sure. Well, let's bring him in and have a chat.
Hey,
Hey, good evening, Ray.
hey guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Hey,
Hanging in there, man. Enjoying the
just
weather.
just real quick, I want to highlight this one. Ken Collins. Hey, we are going to be down in Estes this weekend on Saturday, Kenny, for Bigfoot Festival, Bigfoot Days.
yep. So we will
So
come track
we look
you
forward to
down.
catching up with you.
I'm sure Ken will be in his Bigfoot suit there, going around meeting everybody.
It's not a suit. That's
It's not a
Bigfoot.
suit. That's Bigfoot. My bad. Sorry.
So how you doing tonight?
Good, man. Good. I'm just was excited to be on, so I appreciate you guys having me on tonight.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. You hit us up when we had a last minute cancellation, and
Yeah.
lots of people did, but I'm glad we were able to schedule you in and get you on here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And hey, Janet. I know Janet.
Oh, there we go. So we're gonna talk ghosts tonight, but on your show
Cool.
you guys kind of talk everything, right?
Yeah, Cryptic Paranormal Show. We kind of, I mean, our wheelhouse is ghost hunting, or that part of the paranormal. But I myself, and I know especially Denise too, we kind of have been venturing out a little bit and researching other areas. Been really getting into UFOlogy and cryptozoology, but yeah, we always come back we always come back to the ghost hunting and the spiritual investigation side of it. So yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Yeah, we're kind of split that way a little bit too. I am definitely more the paranormal. Jason is a little more cryptid, and
Cool.
we've had quite a few cryptid people on and a couple of Bigfoot people, and boy, I've
Nice.
had to do my research and like check some stuff out afterwards, and that's pretty cool.
We're slowly converting them.
Well, I mean, you do it long enough, you kind of finally, you really kind of end up finding a lot of connections between all of it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So what got you started into the paranormal?
oh boy, it's a loaded question, but it's really pretty cliche. When I was about 10 years old, my parents bought a house. It was the first house they had ever owned. It was me, my parents, my 5-year-old brother. We were 5 years apart, and we moved into a house, and there was some weird stuff going on. Nothing, I never felt it was malicious, but it was just stuff that least for me, it made me more curious about what was happening. So it'd be just like weird feelings, like walking through the house at night. We had 2 restrooms, so if somebody was in the main restroom, we'd have to walk through the house to the family room bathroom in the middle of the, in the dark, and we'd be like, it always felt like somebody was kind of just hanging out watching you. And I know, like, as a kid, that's kind of normal too, but there was more, because even as I got older, like in my like teens and late teens, I felt the same way. Just weird stuff. A couple times we were watching TV, and in the family room, I mean, back in the day, you had the big console TV with your VCR on top and like the stacks of VHS tapes all over the place.
I'm shaking my head, but that dates us all.
Oh, I know.
It
It's
does.
all right.
Yep.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm okay with it now. But we'd just be sitting there, and like a tape like in the middle of the stack would just fly off and like fly across the room. Just weird stuff like that. And we had a cat that was pretty playful, but the cat would be on my lap sleeping. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Just weird stuff. We'd walk through, I'd hear a banging noise in the kitchen. I go in, our bread was all over the place. It's just kind of weird stuff. My brother was younger than me, and I think it frightened him a lot more than it scared me. Because there were nights where he would like sneak into my bedroom out of fright just to be near somebody. But the thing that got me though is he would like come in, lay on the floor, half in and half out of under my bed. So if I got up in the middle of the night to like use the restroom or anything, there's this body on the floor that would scare me more than anything going on. And it was ridiculous. But we all, as we grew up, we kind of started dealing it with our own ways. My brother really got into like techno music. Actually, for our show, he made the music for our show.
Oh,
but
very cool.
he was the first one that kind of showed me that you could find like pre-recorded or EVP evidence that people would post online. In that time it was like AOL or whatever you could find on bulletin boards and stuff. But and he'd start weaving that into his music, and it was pretty cool. I went a different route. I started reading like Hans Holzer books and like Lloyd Auerbach books, stuff by some of the greatest minds in the field. So it's like weird because I went from the kid, reading comic books under the blanket with a flashlight to a kid reading this big, thick Hans Holzer book, trying to figure out what's going on with ghosts and stuff like that. And we had to do that because, and I'm not saying anything bad about my parents, but we were involved in a pretty radically religious church. So if I had told my parents, the first thing they would have done was drag me in front of the pastor to see if I, needed saved or something religious done to me. And a lot of times when they did that, they'd drag the person up in front of the whole congregation on a Sunday morning. And I was like, I'm not into that. Or they would think you're crazy, which I knew I wasn't crazy either. So, we just kept it to ourselves. We didn't really talk about it till, I actually started like active investigating, which was much later. I was in my 20s at that point. And it was weird because like even though I had read it, but I'd only thought like, people who were like parapsychologists like in the field with like degrees were the ones doing the investigation work or the research. And I was just sitting there she was my girlfriend at the time. She's my wife now. But I had just moved in with her. She's like, you got to check this show out. It's called Ghost Hunters. And I'm like, what? Like I watched the most haunted shows, but I would like that only happened in in the UK and like old castles. I thought that's where that stuff happened too.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, so this guy's like in Ohio in a prison, Mansfield, and they're doing investigations, or they're like helping people out. At least back in the day, that's what they did.
Yep.
They'd go
Right.
into homes and help people out, and that really caught my eye. I'm like, I went through this as a kid. If I could learn what I'm doing and be, I know like professional is kind of a thrown out term that's some people call themselves, but I don't think we're ever going to be, at least in my lifetime, we're never going to actually be professional. But that's a different story for a different part of the segment. But I started investigating, and it really just started like every couple of months with people that I worked with that I had. Hey, do you guys ever see Ghost Hunters? Like, oh yeah, we love that show. We'd love to do that. And that's how it started. So we started going to like public ghost hunts, and the first big one we went to was Mansfield. It was like 99 people, but if you ever been there, the place is so gigantic. It was not hard to investigate, especially for your first time, like for a beginner.
Right.
But everybody there was really respectful, you and 99 other people. But like we'd walk around all night. I mean, we'd barely, cross people because it was such a big place.
Wow.
And it was the first time I saw a full-bodied apparition. So, I was hooked. I mean, it was like, inject me with the excitement and the adrenaline shot. You know what I mean? I was hooked. So
yeah.
It's been a roller coaster ever since.
Wow. Where's your favorite place to investigate now?
I kind of, as much fun as like the bigger places like the hospitals and the mental hospitals and prisons are, I started kind of enjoying more doing like the historical houses and smaller buildings. One of my favorite places is here in Madison, Ohio, called the Madison Seminary. It's been on a few of the shows. I've been investigating there for probably going on 15 years. At least 2 or 3 times a year I go there, but it's only 40 minutes away from me. So, the only thing that keeps me going for more is, family stuff, and I work every day. So,
Yeah.
But otherwise I'd be there every day, or doing what I want to do.
Right.
But, right. It was the original owners when I was, they're pretty good, but they were kind of running a business out of there. So the building, they were just doing the bare minimum to keep the building in shape so they could use it for their business, which was like they were like a nursery for plants, like flowers and stuff. So they'd start growing them there and then ship them out. But one of my friends, Adam Kimmel, ended up buying the place. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Adam Kimmel. He's the host of he's Resident Undead, which is a really good paranormal show on YouTube. Him and his team have been doing it for years and years, and I've known him for a long time. But he actually purchased Madison Seminary, and then he purchased another place called Fairfield Infirmary down in Southern Ohio. But since he's done that, I mean, he's gone in, everything that he raises for ghost hunts and everything goes back into the buildings.
Nice.
So like Madison, there were horrible roof problems. He got the roof fixed. He got everything up to fire safety code. He got the plumbing that he could get done. Replaced windows. There's so many rooms now that before were just empty or just collecting just garbage from the previous owner. He cleaned them all out, and now people from around the community are getting into this, and they're donating antiques and furniture. And if they find something, they bring it to the seminary. So these rooms are being set up like bedrooms, like they were back in the day. And the history is just like, it's like walking into a history book, because when you really deep dive into the place, there's like chapters of everything this building has been. It started off as a seminary school. Then it was a home for displaced women and children, like from the Civil War. And then it was a nursery or nursing home. While it was the nursing home, they actually, part of it, they kept women from the Ohio State women's prison that were being trained in the nursing industry. So they would bring them there, and they would work as nurses to kind of like rehabilitate themselves and kind of get them back into the society as, hardworking individuals. They're just crazy stuff. I mean, and honestly, before Adam took it over, I would go, like, there's a gas station literally right across the road. I go and get, you stop for your drinks, your power, your energy drinks, and your candy and your beef jerky and everything you need for the night. And I like remember one of the first times I walked in there, I had my ghost hunting team, Dark Alley Paranormal, which is my actual ghost hunting team. I walked in there. He's like, "Oh, you're a ghost hunter, hon. Where are you going?" I'm like, "What? Where am I going?" I'm like, "To Madison Seminary." He's like, "Oh, really? Where's that?" I'm like, "Dude, walk out to the end of your parking lot. It's like literally right across the
right
street."
there.
Yeah. Well, he's like, "Oh, you mean the old jail?" So it was like the county jail for a while too. So
Oh,
it's like
geez.
everybody knows it's something different. It's a really cool place, and I'm really friends with the crew there. It's just a place I could go and hang out, but there's always something going on, and the hauntings change as they get different antiques in from different people, and they as they do more research, they're kind of understanding some of the haunts that were already there. So it's fun. It's kind of like being part of a project with not being like so into it that I'm spending all my time there, which I probably would if I was single and not working. But yeah, that's definitely Madison Seminary is definitely my go-to.
You know what I like about that story is how you said people find stuff and then bring it there. And it
Yeah.
seems like when there's buildings like that and they've been so many different things, the community has such an attachment to it because someone in their family worked there or they were there, in one of those things. So they still have that connection and they want to see it thrive.
Yeah, definitely, and definitely. Adam Kimmel has managed it more like during the day. He does. If people want to come just check it out for the historical stuff, they just got to call and set up a time. He doesn't charge them just to do a walkthrough. But even like the flashlight tours, like it's open to the public, and it's free roam. So we're there if they want to know history. So we walk them through and we can do the history tour with them. A lot of them will rent a couple pieces of gear, and they're very respectful because if they aren't, they're out because part of
Right.
the we won't let that happen at that place. But it's a lot different than it was before. Because the way he runs it now, it's so much more open to the community, and it's such a bigger part of the community. He has an annual fundraiser for for cystic fibrosis, and I think it's going into its 7th year, and they've raised close to $15,000 already between all of them. So I mean, it's
good for them.
That's
it's just
awesome.
an amazing place, and it's great to be a part of all that.
Right. Jason, you got anything?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask, so I know you'd get into the the cryptid and the UFO side of it, what made the jump for you from going from paranormal investigator to being a UFOologist?
Well, again, it's just kind of one of those things. You if you're into like the ghost hunting thing for long enough, you start learning a little bit more about parapsychology, and then you start reading more about parapsychology, and you start like getting into like regression and like UFO regression, and just parallels that kind of like if you do it long enough, you're kind of just automatically starting to have interest in other things. I'm like, I don't remember having any kind of UFO experience until I started kind of getting into UFOs and like knowing what to look for in the sky and learning about things like collective consciousness and like communicating telepathically or with a group of people and like matching their energy to send out a message, which is stuff that I would have never even thought of had I not been part of the ghost hunting community and understanding, energy work and, like mediumship and that kind of thing. So it's like,
Right.
it kind of all melds into the same thing. But what really hooked me was it was like late last summer. We got home. It was a beautiful night out. I was letting the dogs out. It was just kind of one of those nights that was super nice. The sky was clear. I live in kind of a suburb-ish neighborhood, but I could see the stars beautifully. So I let the dogs back in and I stayed outside and I was just staring at the sky. And I'm like, I'm going to try this. What they call it a CE5 experiment, which is the close encounters of the fifth kind, which is the fifth kind is when you're like basically consciously, or you're using your consciousness to communicate almost like telepathically, I guess. So if you send out a positive message, the idea is send out all the positive energy and the mind, like you talk out loud, kind of like just give them an idea that you're okay, that you're safe. And I didn't see anything. the only thing I saw was like this long cloud that just kind of was slowly drifting through the sky. And I was about to be done, like, okay, that was kind of weird, kind of cool. I'd try it again, but it's really supposed to be done in a group, so I was just messing around with it a little bit.
Right.
Then I happened to look back up in the sky, and right at the end of the cloud, which was still there was like this like hole. I'm like, okay, that's weird. It's just like a hole just like forms into the cloud, and I'm thinking, I don't think an airplane can just poke a hole through a cloud. Like if an airplane flies through a cloud, usually the airflow will take the cloud and kind of just form it around and come out the backside. It might distort it a little bit, but it won't poke a clear hole through it. I mean,
and then you'd probably have contrails and all that coming off it as well.
Right. And I asked a friend, like I have two pilot friends who fly for major airlines, and they're like, no, they're like, I don't think that could physically be possible. But that was later on. But that night, I took a quick picture of it, and that's just cool. And I didn't do any editing besides just zooming in. When I zoomed in, I was like thrown aback a little bit because there's like a perfectly triangular shape that goes down like a triangle, comes up, and then has like a little fin on the back of it. And I'm like,
interesting.
Okay, that's freaking weird. And I looked at it, and then I'm sending it to like my friend Andrea Perrin, most people know her. She was the eldest daughter from the Conjuring house, like the real life daughter. But she's really kind of gotten into the UFOlogy thing. That's basically like when she does conventions, what she talks about now. I mean, she still talks about the Conjuring house and ghost hunting and all that stuff. But, I'm friends with her. So I texted her. I'm like, what do you think about this? She's like, you need to send that to Deb, which is another friend of ours who's a medium, but she's also heavy into the UFOlogy part. And she's like, yeah, that's got to be something because it's too angular. Like, it's like, I wish I could throw it up here for you. If I had time, I'd go through my photos and just do one of these with my cell phone. But,
yeah.
and I started sending it to everybody. Like, what is this? What is this? So I'm supposed to be getting a UFO regression to see if there's any connection to like earlier in my life to connect that to.
Yeah.
Because she said like when something shows, when a UFO or extraterrestrial shows themselves to you like that clearly, there usually is some kind of past that they've built up to this point where they feel safe, like full on showing you their craft or themselves. Or so we'll see. I'm not like 100% like all in. Like I definitely think that's a UFO, and I definitely believe that was but it's caught my imagination and like my desire to figure it out, just like ghost hunting did when I was little.
Right. Yep. There's always that.
And again, like
that causes the addiction.
Yeah. And the Bigfoot thing, I mean, I've always been an outdoorsman and I've always heard the stories, and that's just been something that's kind of been in the back of my head. But like, again, you get into the paranormal and becomes a bigger subject. Like, okay, is Bigfoot just a living, breathing flesh and blood creature, like an animal that we haven't been able to like pinpoint and actually discover yet? Is it an interdimensional traveler alien type thing, which is a big theory out there now between UFOologists and cryptozoologists?
Yep.
Or there's also the theories that this is like a spiritual creature, because I mean, it's so deeply indoctrinated into like indigenous tribes culture. I mean, there's cave drawings of this thing, like of all the cryptids, like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, the Yeti, they're all kind of connected. They're all kind of the same thing and different. But it's worldwide. Every region has their own type of Bigfoot.
Yep.
So to me, there's a bigger possibility that the creature does exist in some shape or form. I kind of think it was a creature at once, and the belief in that has kind of created a tulpa situation where the tulpa is kind of like when you think so heavily on something so intensely, you manifest it physically. So maybe it was Gigantopithecus originally, but my theory is, okay, real quick, I'll try to do this real quick. Growing up in science class, you always saw the evolution of man. It was like the salamander crawls out of the water, and then next thing you know, he's crawling on all fours. Then he's like an ape that kind of like uses both, and then he's an upright creature. That type of thing. Where's all that crap that happened in between? It just wasn't like a snap of the finger into the next level. You just don't level up like it's a video game. You
Right.
know what
You
I mean?
don't go from a fish to a mammal,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
yeah.
So I'm thinking, what if we were basically what we are right now, but that wild man still existed because they haven't completely died off. But to us, it was a wild man because he's still way tall and kind of apish.
Hmm.
And we start telling the stories and we have interactions, but then eventually that thing dies off. But we have believed so hard in it, have seen it since the beginning of time, that we have physically manifested in this thing. So it's very sporadic and spread out, but it's kind of a spiritual creature that's could be flesh and bone, but also have supernatural abilities. So I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you guys you guys can call me whack job now, but that's
No, not at all. I mean,
that's what I'm
that's the
just
thing,
saying. It's
right?
like,
The paranormal and the unknown. It's,
yeah,
there's, that's all it is theories, right? And
right.
it's trying to go out and gather evidence and,
Yep.
test hypotheses and,
Hmm.
see what kind of conclusions, you can draw from that. So,
Yeah.
I tend to believe more towards the interdimensional. I think, the work that's been done in the
Hmm.
missing 411 field,
Yeah.
in the link to Sasquatch,
Yeah.
and these areas that have just such heavy energy to them,
Sure.
along with just the standard criteria that Pallades has set, right?
Hmm.
They're always by a body of water,
Yeah.
granite boulder fields, all these traditional kind of symbols of power, right? This
Yeah.
seems to happen by. So yeah, I that's kind of where I go, is that I believe it's interdimensional, or at least has
Mhm.
the
Makes
ability to
sense.
go interdimensional. Yeah. So,
You know, that definitely goes to explain why we haven't found one yet, like physically
yep.
found one. But
Yep.
then and the flesh and blood and bones group of people, they make a good point too, that it's just an animal that, you know, it's spread out, it's endangered, but you don't, I mean, as a hunter myself and a hiker, I've never seen remains of a predator animal.
Right.
Just
Yep.
you don't see them. I see all kinds of like rabbits and squirrels and deer. You can find those carcasses pretty much everywhere, and they're always piled up like there's a killing zone.
Yep.
Um,
But
but yeah, like
show me a cougar skeleton. Show me a,
right,
a grizzly
yeah,
bear,
A
right? Like,
bear,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
You don't see them.
I've spent a good amount of time in Yellowstone. My dad pretty much lived up there. And
Yeah,
talking to him, he's never seen a grizzly skeleton, and he was
yeah, yeah,
pretty much a backcountry hiker, didn't
yeah,
spend any time
yeah,
on the boardwalks and stuff. And just, there's quite a few grizzly up there. And yeah,
yeah.
never seen a skeleton because
There's enough
these,
that for the amount of people that go hunting and deep, you know,
yeah,
and live out that way, that somebody would come across something. But
absolutely. And a lot of it's because these predators will go and hide when they're in that weakened state, right?
oh yeah, yep,
You've got the prey animals like cattle and deer that have evolved to not show weakness, right? So
right, right,
I learned this a few years ago, that, it's hard to tell when you have a sick cow because they
mhm,
don't really show any symptoms due to
right,
that evolutionary trait, right? For being a prey
yeah,
animal. And predators, same thing. When, once they get to that weakened state, they go and crawl into a cave or their burrow,
hmm,
Mhm.
whatever it is, and they die. So
right,
yeah, unless you're going spelunking, or
yeah,
specifically know where to go look for these types of things, you're not going to find it.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Cool stuff.
Crazy.
the UFOlogy side of it, I think a question a lot of people have is, how do you get into it? I like to go sky watching. I've got different
Yeah,
optics and stuff like that. But is there any special equipment that you use to help? I know there's all sorts of side projects. They've got the all sky cams that will
sure.
compare light patterns to a database of aircraft and stuff like that, to
Hmm.
be able to tell you, oh yeah, that's a
Sure.
747, or that was a Cessna flying by, which
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
pretty
yeah,
cool. I want to totally nerd out and build one of those one days. But
yeah, yeah.
I'm
But
surprised you
you
don't
know,
have one.
for the people who are just kind of like have just been kind of getting into the last couple of years, you can get an app that'll tell you what's above you at any minute, any day of the week. I mean, even if it's something you can't see, there's a satellite up there, or there's this or that, and it'll give you what flight it is and where it's headed and where it came from. And you can use that for sure. I mean, even in ghost hunting now, I rarely have a whole lot of equipment within me anymore because I'm about observation and using my consciousness or like
Okay.
my knowledge of how energy works. Um, and honestly, my lack of concern for what other people think of me, like
Yep.
what I think is real and what's not real. Um, you know, because even when I was just like straight up ghost hunting, I would never really like post socially or out in the public any like kind of um evidence or documentation that I would get on activity. Just because I wanted two major things happen. Either you have the people that think you're a complete wacko and you know they're keyboard warriors and trolls and
Yep.
doesn't matter what you do, you could punch them right in the face. They'll tell you that why you didn't punch them in the face or that you're full of shit, you know.
Yep.
Or you have the people that tell you you're doing it wrong. The same kind of
Yes.
people.
Yep.
Basically, that's the same trope. Or you have the people that will actually, and this has happened to people that I know, a lot of people, they will take your evidence and post it as their own. They steal
Mm,
your evidence or they steal your research and they post it and publish it as their own work. You know, kind
Yeah,
of
and
a,
it's so easy to do now with social media, and good
yeah,
luck
right.
tracking it down, right? And
right.
then
Yeah.
yeah, once it picks up momentum, there's no telling, who
Yeah. So,
originated that first post. Yeah.
right. So, as far as like UFOlogy for research, I try to do my due diligence knowing what is man-made in the sky. I try to keep up on just researching technology and development of what we have in the skies right now. Um, I have the app if I'm really like doing some observation or I'm like, okay, I f- I don't think that was an airplane, so I'll look it up. Oh yeah, it was an airplane. It's just so far up, the elevation's too high for you to see the blinking lights.
Yep.
Um, I don't fall for all the big drone scare. I'm not sold on any of that. If it was anything UFO wise, it was around the time where they thought that declassification and all that was definitely on the horizon. Like it was going to happen any day. They were just going to spill their beans about everything.
Yep.
And I think if anything, it was government drones, probably test flying, but also kind of a psyop to kind of keep us away
mm,
from what
What it really is.
disclosure
Yep. Yep.
okay.
as all the conspiracy theorists, the disclosure's coming. It's the Dr. Greer stuff.
Yep.
Which I was really following him, but like
So was I.
every year, yeah. Oh, disclosure's happening in April. Well, we're almost in May now, so
When's
you
it coming?
know,
Yep.
it's not going to happen. The government's never going to give us everything, and you know what? Probably they shouldn't.
Right.
There's some things that they probably need to keep themselves from creating
Well,
mass hysteria.
and
Right.
that's one thing I've always enjoyed about, going out and, watching the skies because, you see something you can't identify, right? And,
Yeah.
obviously that's a UFO. That's the definition. But is it extraterrestrial or are you seeing some super high tech from Skunk Works,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
doing
Mm,
an international flight,
Yeah.
So it's still, even if you're seeing something and it's not extraterrestrial, you're
Yeah.
seeing some really cool tech up there in the air.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just really interesting stuff. I mean, it gets my head out of my phone and it gets me
Yeah.
outside and I can it's relaxing. I can sit and stare at the sky at a night sky for hours and not budge and just
Yep.
be it's like a high. I mean, it just
Yep.
feels
Oh,
so
I hear you.
relaxing and
Yep. I've
calming.
done
It's
I've done the astrophotography thing. I've done,
yeah,
the sky watching. I love it.
yeah.
I love space. And I always just think when you see something, right? Imagine how someone felt, what was it, probably 30 years ago now when the SR-71, was doing
Oh
his
yeah.
test flights, right? And
Yeah.
right.
how
Yeah.
weird
And I
that would
think
have
it
looked.
what I don't know if I got the type number right, but I think it's like the F-47 or something. It's a newer jet plane and it looks so sleek and it looks like I've seen it fly. This thing is nuts. I can't remember if it's the F-47 or what it is, but I know
Yep.
it's being used and it's being they're training on how to fly it, but it's got some capabilities that we haven't seen before.
Right.
So, you know, but then you have people who are chasing saucer-sized discs that are a football field long, and they're sheriff's deputy. Like, I've been doing research on something that happened right here in Ohio. There was a big, huge chase. 2 deputies were pulled over, like trying to figure out why there was an abandoned car on the highway in Ravenna, Portage County, which is like 5 minutes from me. This is back in the 60s. And all of a sudden, you hear this humming, and behind the trees, there's this like they said, it was like 2 saucers stuck together, and it was about 40 feet long. They chased this thing with other cops, and there was like 102 reports of it that night. They chased it for 86 miles.
Oh my God.
And when they thought they were getting lost and it was getting too far ahead of them, the craft would slow down, let them catch up, and then speed off again.
Back up and then take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and this was during when Project Blue Book was still a thing. So, you know, obviously after all this reporting, you know, the chief of their station was telling them to start shooting at it. Like, okay, that's great. Another chief from Manaway, Ohio, who was like involved with all this, he was just out there with his camera because he was off duty. He said he caught pictures of it. So they sent a guy out from Project Blue Book who started giving all these reasons why it wasn't what it was, and, you know, telling them they were all crazy. And the 2 original sheriffs, one guy backed off his story completely and just went into, he basically became a hermit. The other guy kept pushing the subject, and he ended up losing his wife and divorcing his wife, losing his job. I mean, the government destroyed him. The Project Blue Book, they just made him look like an idiot. But when you read what they said it was, there's no way that's what it was.
Right.
Oh, that was a satellite in the sky. I'm like, a 40-foot wide that was like
100 yards off the ground or whatever. Yeah,
right. Yeah. And that would stop and let them chase them, playing this cat and mouse game for 86 miles to the point where these guys actually ran out of fuel. I mean, no.
Yep. Well, and you had that Air Force intelligence officer, and I'm going to butcher this story because it's been quite a while since I read it, but the Air Force intelligence officer that they had that PSYOP against the UFOologist. They were actually sending frequencies or messages.
Yeah, I know what you're talking. Yeah,
over the radio. And this whole time, you know, he's gathering this evidence, right, and presenting it. He's getting excited, and it was this Air Force intelligence officer that was feeding him fake information from a house they rented across the street to discredit him and discredit all the legitimate work that he did do.
Yeah, because he was receiving communication from something.
Right.
But like you said, they stepped in and are like, you know, we're gonna fuck with this guy.
Yep.
And then tell him what we did. So the whole thing looks like it was misconstrued and a lie.
Yep.
I mean, it's
makes it look like he had no idea what he was talking about when.
Right.
Yeah. Project Blue Book. That was a weird time going back and reading. Yeah, they did a lot of messed up stuff to
and that was all. That was headquartered right here at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton, Ohio. I mean, that was all out of Ohio. So those guys were real close to what was going on, but now Dr. Hynek got involved, and he's like, no, that was after he left Project Blue Book. He was all about like, yeah, UFOs are real. All these things that I made up, I was told to make up by the government. They wanted me to like make any kind of thing man-made that I could, like, you know, that was just a weather balloon or a scientific military balloon, or, you know, but it's a solid metallic thing that people are seeing. And I mean, the Foo Fighters, that whole big skirmish over, was it California, I think?
Yeah, the Battle of Los Angeles. Yep.
Yeah. Oh no, that was just something else. That was a weather balloon. They were up there fighting, and, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
It's crazy stuff, man.
Then you can get into the whole, Robert Bigelow, the original Skinwalker Ranch, and his, forming NIDS. Was what the National Institute for the Discovery of Science. He owned Skinwalker Ranch, and then through his connections, NIDS was actually the only official body where UFOs spotted by pilots were required to report to. So
Right.
You know, so going through the FAA, they were legally required to report these UFO sightings to NIDS, which was
Right.
owned by Bigelow and was doing all the
Yep.
research out there at the ranch. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, actually, I've just been kind of deep diving into that too. I just watched a documentary called The Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
It's a good one. It's hard to get through because it's a lot of old footage of
Yep.
just basically testimony, but that's the way you learn the story. And you get all the info about Bigelow and what they went there, the original owners, when they started reporting the activity, the Shermans,
Yep.
or the Gormans. Sorry, that's their
Yep.
that's their
Cover
secret name.
Yep.
Yeah, their player tag.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's such a crazy place. I mean, they had everything, and
Well, I
still
mean,
nothing has really
they'd be out herding cattle. Him and his son turn around,
Yeah.
and there's a couple calves missing, and they find them later that day, 40 feet up in a tree.
Yeah. So I mean, all the mutilations that family had lost so much of their just well-being because of these things happening to their cattle that
Yep.
nobody could explain. I mean, just the mutilations, like it was nuts, and the constant UFO sightings, and then you have the ghost stuff on top of it at the homesteads. It's just
Yep.
Right.
And the Skinwalker sightings, because the Ute Reservation is just
Yeah.
half a mile north of the ranch.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
got Skinwalker Ridge, where they found the caves with the petroglyphs of Skinwalker, depicting
Yeah.
the story of the Skinwalker and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've always loved the Skinwalker Ranch and the whole Bigelow story. I got deep into that, and I used to work in the oil field, and I'd go down to Vernal, like once a month.
Oh,
and
nice.
if I
Yeah.
wasn't on a rig, I was parked outside Skinwalker Ranch, just checking stuff out, man. I'd spend
Dude,
all
just
night
to
out
be
there.
that close would be like one of those kind of like a check that off the bucket list
Yep.
type thing.
Yeah, it's intense out there. It's definitely got its own energy, and
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
yep.
And I didn't really start deep diving into that. I mean, you get into the field and you start hearing these stories about all these crazy places, but I think it's The Secrets of Skinwalker Ranch, the show with that had been on for 5 or 6 seasons.
Yep.
I watched that and watched them do their scientific experiments, and I'm just like, what the hell? So I
Yeah.
started getting more into the history and like the Bigelow era and just some of the stuff that they were experiencing, but not really understanding. Like the whole
Right.
time,
Yeah.
there's still no idea.
Nope. And yeah, NIDS, they if you look on, I think it's probably still on Google Maps. If not, you can do the timeline feature. But when NIDS had it, they had bait pens built all over the property where they had these observation towers with this
Yeah,
fenced in area on the ground, and they would stake cattle down and try to instigate cattle mutilations.
Yeah.
And study them
Stuff,
up
yeah.
close. Yeah. Yep.
It's crazy.
Crazy. All the connections of paranormal stuff, when you start looking, like you said, it's just this
Oh, yeah.
big circle of
Yeah.
of ghosts
and-
and spirits and Bigfoot and aliens,
Yeah.
and it covers so much.
Yeah, and
I
I even
think
think they said that there are even Bigfoot sightings on Skinwalker Ranch.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I mean just everything.
Yeah. Bigfoot,
So-
Dogman. Yeah. There's a lot. And
You can
that's
spend
what
your
I
whole
love
life.
about
You didn't have to ever go anywhere else. Just
I know,
investigate
yeah.
Skinwalker
Right
Ranch.
Yep.
Got everything you
place
want
like
right
that.
there.
Yep. And you got
The
the
one-stop
Blind Frog
paranormal
Ranch.
shop.
You got
One
Blind
stop.
Frog Ranch in the same area. They're like, I think Blind Frog's like 15 miles from them, 15 or 20
Yeah.
miles.
I
They got
don't
a
know
lot of
as
weird
much
stuff
about
out
that as
there.
I do
Yeah.
Skin Ranch, but I know there's a show about that too, and I'm sure
Yep.
there's documentaries.
But that's what I love. There's always a rabbit hole. Anytime
Oh, yeah.
you want to learn something new, there's always a different theory or another
Right.
story that you haven't heard that you can dive into. And
that's
I
kind
love
of that's kind of the draw though too from like I've been doing ghost hunting for I don't know what, probably 20 some years now. And after a while it's just kind of ghost story after ghost story. It's not a whole lot of rabbit holes to jump in after a while. I mean,
right.
you can try to figure out what a ghost is, but all these freaking conspiracy theories and all these other stories that go into cryptozoology and UFOlogy, and then you blend in what we do in the ghost hunting part of it, like the parapsychology part of it. It's just a whole new world, and I highly suggest people who are interested in one specific area to branch out, because there's a whole new world out there for you.
Yep.
And it'll keep you thinking for the rest of your life, and it'll
For sure.
keep you on your toes for sure.
Yeah, my go-to is always above top secret, that online forum. I love that.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
always
good
new
one.
theories and stuff like that coming out, and then
Right.
you want to dive into the Mandela effect, there's a couple
Oh,
hundred posts
God.
on that, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yep.
So much.
Cool stuff.
Right. Gosh, I don't even know what to ask now because we're all over the place.
I know. Sorry, that happens when you got me on the show. I just
Yeah, we've hit on everything. Yeah, what I like is like you can cover it. I know you have your
Yeah.
show on Thursdays and you bring people on.
Yeah.
Most interesting person you've talked to?
Oh, geez.
There's lots of people I know, and you can't
Believe it or
usually just
not,
pick
yeah.
one. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I haven't had any real just straight up cryptozoologists on the show. They're a lot harder to get a hold of because they're in the field. And if they're not in the field and they're not filming a documentary, they're usually at a convention or speaking somewhere. So it's like you can't nail those guys down. Even some of the bigger ghost hunting names, I think, as far as if you want to call him ghost hunter celebrity, Dustin Pari was super cool. We had him on the show. He's just a really positive guy, and he came up with some pretty cool Bigfoot and alien theories himself. He was more of the time slip kind of guy, where he thought Bigfoot was maybe for that instant, our dimensions or our times, like we're that specific area of energy. We were able to, for that split moment, see what we look like back, before we evolved into what we are now. It's like just stuff like that.
Right.
So super cool, but about just being positive and being positive in the field and doing your due diligence on things and not getting your head full of the things that don't matter. Really cool guy. Now the guy that was really I have to say, we had Lloyd Auerbach on the show. I mean, just an amazing mind. He was one of the first books that I picked up when I was 10 years old. So I was super fanboying when he came on the show. I'm like, oh my God, this is like Professor Paranormal. He's on the show. I don't even know what to ask him because I won't understand his answers probably most of the time. So I had to do a lot of digging. I watched, he has a Q&A every week on his YouTube channel. But he's a really cool laid back guy, and he explains things in layman's terms. And he's one of the last actual degreed parapsychologists in the field. I mean, there's a few, but most colleges don't really offer that anymore. So
right.
And he's a professor, but it's really, you only get a certificate that you've completed the class. So it's not really a degree.
Right.
But yeah, he was just so many theories and talking about the level of consciousness. He's you can technically haunt a place and still be alive. It's just about your consciousness and how your energy's put out. So I'm so if I work somewhere, built a house and my energy's all over that place and I'm still alive, but I'm living, 100 miles away. He's yeah, you could still be haunting that place because all you left part of your consciousness and your energy there, your emotions. That's all consciousness.
Well,
it's all part of consciousness. And
stone tape theory,
exactly,
energy gets stuck in, and just
yep.
So that's
he said that
you
explains things like poltergeist activity, which is more of a psychokinetic energy thing more than a hungry ghost or nosy ghost theory.
Right.
And he actually did a study where he was working on a poltergeist case, and it was all surrounded this young girl who was going through the age and was having some severe mental mental health issues, and all this stuff started happening at their house. It was actually related to her and what she was going through. It was a burst of energy when she was having a traumatic moment.
Mm.
He actually was measuring the environment, and things would just go crazy, and something would happen, something would fly open or something would fly off the wall, and this is all part of her consciousness making this happen, bursts of psychokinetic energy. Just it's just, but just we learned so much. And you can read as many books as you want, but when you actually have that person on a show or in an interview where you're face to face and you can just ask whatever questions you want.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
It was freaking amazing. So I think probably Lloyd Auerbach, as far as the ghost hunting thing, is definitely the most amazing interview we've ever had.
Nice. And the one I always like to ask everyone is a bucket list place that you want to investigate.
That is so hard, man. You know what? I'll just throw it out there. We already talked about it tonight because I could get ghost hunting, I could get cryptozoology, I could get UFOlogy. Let's go to Skinwalker.
There we go. Yep.
There we go. Yeah. I think everyone kind of has that place, you know.
Yeah.
That would be the ultimate.
Yeah, there's no way I can narrow down one haunted location. I mean, you could send me to some abandoned house down the street, and I'm like, sweet, I'm in, dude.
Yep.
Let's go.
Agreed.
Whatever.
Yep. Like, where are we going this weekend?
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
Let's do it every weekend.
Stupid word.
Oh, there's a Dollar General that just opened up on an old cemetery. Let's do it, man. Let's go buy
Let's
some
do it.
batteries. And...
Hey, can we come in here? What do you guys do? Never mind.
I've had that though, dude. I was getting batteries and some stuff for a historical society that we do ghost hunts at and stuff, like right down the street in the neighborhood that I grew up in. And this Dollar General had just opened up, and I went there. It was like finally a place close to where we do this to like get our batteries and all of our, essentials. And she's like, "Oh, you guys should come and check this place out." I'm like, "It was just built like 2 days ago. Like it just opened up." But I know that area. I mean, it's the land. It's an old area. There's a lot of history, and it was built on the land of a pretty historical location, like one of the first major like mansion type areas. But it just had been abandoned and fell into ruin. So, just like everything they do with every other historical building in Ohio that falls to ruin, they build a Dollar General on top of it. So, yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. She's like, "Yeah, definitely, you should come here and check it out." I'm like, "Well, you talk that up with your boss. I'll be back next time." You really want us to? Well, like I said, we'll do anything. Well,
right.
Within reason.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. You talked about the prisons and stuff back there, and I think you're just hitting that edge of where you start to see more and more things going east, where you have more stuff to investigate. Where we were just talking before the show, where we're out here and we're, minimum of 2 hours or much more to get to anything. Yeah. We have our few places here in town, but to go to anywhere big, we're hours and hours away.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm 40 minutes from Mansfield Prison, or some people call it Shawshank, just based off the movie. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm only probably about 2 hours away from Waverly Hills, not even 2 hours away from Trans-Allegheny. I mean, some of the major places in the United States. I mean, I'm at most 3 hours away from them. So, and I'm getting old, man. I can't really drive that much more than that in one day. So,
you know what I mean? That a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. And also, I'm also getting old to where like I want to be in my bed and I don't want to stay at a shitty hotel in a shady neighborhood. I want to come home at the end of the night, or at least be able to crash at like a McDonald's or something on my way home.
We're doing Airbnbs because we can get the whole team there, and
and if you got a cool one, you can investigate the Airbnb.
Yep, I know people that do that we've stayed at last couple of years. So
yeah. It's like there's an big event at Mansfield coming up in a couple weeks, actually, the Parapsychon
and
it's a big one, but a lot of people that I know get Airbnbs that are like historical homes that they have turned into places you could stay, but they're beautiful old mansions.
Way to do it.
And they have investigations,
Yeah. 2 years ago, we did Squirrel Cage Jail, and we found a place that was built in the late 1800s. And stayed there, and we did a little team thing that one night, and then this year we did Whiteface House in the Yates Center, Kansas. Same thing. House that was built in the late 1800s, and it was almost more active than where we went to investigate. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep. I think there's sometimes you go to those bigger places, the places that are famous for whatever reason, and sometimes I feel like they're just over investigated, and
right.
Maybe the ghosts there really just don't give a shit that you're even there. They're not. They don't. I mean, right. I don't know. It's just a theory, but there's been times like I've been to Moundsville, West Virginia State Penitentiary, and again, only like 2 hours away. And like every time I go there, it seems a little less active. Like just, and it's like a year. We're talking like a couple years in between each time I've been there. And there was this one time, actually, it was back when Zach Baggins had that paranormal challenge show. I don't know if you guys remember that, where they had like two different teams like go head to head and like try to see who gets the best evidence. Really, really kind of a dumb premise, but didn't even win anything, for Christ's sake. But at least give them a cool K2 meter or something, But they were filming there the week, the starting the day after we were there, but they had already set off their equipment, so like half the building was cut off. We couldn't go into. It just felt off. Like they put all that equipment in there, and just like everything, just kind of like all the energy was just not there that we were used to.
Interesting.
So it's like,
yeah,
I don't know, but you're right about the Airbnb. My problem is planning, and I never get together with people ahead of time to like nail something down. So I'm already like frantically like texting people. Oh, you're staying in Airbnb. Do you have a free room? I'll pay for my fair share. But we'll see. I might just be like spending the night in my car and finding a truck stop somewhere. But hey, it's better driving it home, an hour home, then an hour back the next morning, and then an hour home again. It's just
absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So.
Well, Ray, it's been awesome having you on, and we'd love to have you on again and chat about more stuff.
Absolutely.
There's probably so much more we didn't even cover.
Oh yeah, and I ramble, so thank you for putting up with me.
That's the best
you have
part
some
of
great
this,
stories, great things to
we
talk
like to hear
about.
some of those stories, and sometime we'll be somewhere and be able to tell our stories too. We like to hear those stories from others.
Yep.
Yeah, I appreciate it, definitely. Yeah, anytime you guys need somebody, let me know. I'll hop on.
Sounds good.
Hey, we're gonna throw you into the green room, and we'll
thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Well, there we go.
Yep.
Ray Goosby.
Nerd out on UFOs for a little bit, and
I know you like that stuff. I get it.
I do. I love it, man. I love it.
I'm still a ghost guy. I don't. I'm trying to delve into that Bigfoot stuff. We're going to Bigfoot days this weekend in Estes Park.
That's
Bigfoot Kenny down there. We've had him on the show. Yeah, it's pretty neat stuff. I'm still working towards it.
Yep. Yeah, it takes some research and kind of forming your own opinions, and then going from there.
I did see some crazy stuff as a kid. Up on the reservation behind Grandma and Grandpa's house, and you'd see stuff that planes just don't move that fast.
Yeah.
Between the Black Hills and the Badlands.
Yep.
So what is it?
Yep. Yep. And that's why I love it. Like we said, there's just so much you can get into. There's just rabbit hole after rabbit hole.
Yeah. One quick thing that I'd like to cover, Jason, is Horn Paranormal. Those guys have been awesome to us. Couple pieces of equipment, their newest one, the Full Spectrum SLS. We've got to use that the last couple weekends with the event and with the investigation we did in Denver. Go see those guys. Kim and Scott, good people. We've had them on here. That was our first ever episode, and I think we have something to show them, right?
Yeah.
Introducing the latest generation of the SLS cameras from Horn Paranormal. The new FS SLS camera features SLS mapping and full spectrum capabilities with built-in IR lighting. See more at hornparanormal.com or hornparanormal.shop.
So we did get one of those. Y'all are going to see that in season 2 when we start getting those episodes out. Season 1, episode 4 should be dropping in the next month. And we'll finish that out. Season 2 will start later in the year. We thank you all for coming and watching tonight, like usual.
All right. We'll see y'all next week. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good night, everyone.
The Paranomalies podcast would like to thank Horn Paranormal Research and Twinkle Twinkle Little Store for sponsoring our show. If you're craving more paranormal content, don't forget to check out our YouTube and Facebook channels at Way Out West Paranormal. On YouTube, we bring you investigations and all sorts of chilling adventures involving the Way Out West crew. On Facebook, you can join our growing community of fellow paranormal lovers for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and more.
You can catch all of our episodes of Paranomalies available on Apple Podcasts, Facebook, and YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe as it helps others find the show and join in on the paranormal fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, keep your lights on, stay safe, and remember, the truth is out there, and it just might be closer than you think.